This is how I bought my first buy-to-let in London with only £19,000. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Josh. This is the property investment channel that focuses on flats with short leases. Talking about my own journey to give you some inspiration and hopefully tips along the way, talking about short lease flats in general. So if you're new here, feel free to subscribe for more, but let's get into today's video. So starting out with only £19,000, you think, okay, London prices, buy-to-lets take 25% deposits. How are you buying a flat in London for less than 100 grand? And the truth is, I wasn't. The first flat was 192,000. So then the next question is, well, how are we buying a buy-to-let with only 19 grand? Actually, this was initially bought as a residential. So I moved to London after university. I was living with family and therefore able to save up deposit because I wasn't wasting a fairly significant amount of money on rent, which a lot of my friends at the time were. So living with family, yes, it's a little painful, but thankfully we had a good setup, and therefore it wasn't too bad, and it allowed the saving of this deposit and getting onto the ladder. So 19,000, where does it go? What does it get you? We bought the flat with a 90% mortgage. Residential mortgage at 90% was the most you could get at the time we were buying. This is a few years ago. So there are still flats in London for around this price. Certainly not in the area I was buying at the time. This was in Enfield, North London. The flat was bought as a residential. We looked at moving there, moved in there, and then decided, actually, why are we doing this? There's family that are happy to have us. They're very generously not charging rent. That's allowing a lot of saving. And I knew that I wanted to build a property portfolio, so just having one wasn't enough. Therefore, decided to stay back living with family, or move back living with family, and get consent to let on this flat, which the lender we chose allowed us to do, and actually let it out on the residential mortgage. So that's excellent. That's a great start. We're now making maybe, depending on the month, somewhere between sort of £500 and £600 a month, if there are any outgoings or bills at the time. £516 a month from this flat, from the first flat, which was an investment with only 19 grand in. There's also no stamp duty, very minimal stamp duty. So that really helped along the way as well. However, that mortgage only had a 2-year term on it. At the end of the 2-year term, quite rightly, the residential bank said, well, okay, term's up. Yes, you've got consent to let, but we thought, okay, let's move it on to a buy-to-let. Now, thankfully, over those 2 years, we made some improvements in the flat. We bought in a good area. It was at the right time for property values to be going up as well. And what that allowed us to do was to remortgage onto a buy-to-let. So now we're looking at a 25% deposit, which means we've needed 15% capital growth over those 2 years to build enough deposit without needing to put any more cash in. And thankfully, we'd managed to achieve that. So buying at the right price, buying in a good area, getting capital appreciation allowed us to then remortgage, not only get that 25% deposit needed for the buy-to-let, but also pull out some money to then go and invest again. So it was a really tremendous start into property investment, into building that portfolio. And I'm going to do a separate video about how I built the £1 million portfolio over those first few years of my investing. And I'll upload that shortly. So if you're interested, subscribe, and that video will be coming soon. If you've enjoyed this one, please give it a like. Comment down below if you've got any questions, and we'll see you in the next one.